Hi, my name is Kina Gonzalez. Today I'm going to talk about geothermal energy. This is a project for Physics 11. Thesis. My thesis is how can geothermal energy be the new way of creating electricity? And I'm also going to explain how it's produced, extracted, and some advantages. What is geothermal energy? Geothermal comes from the word geo, meaning earth, and therm, meaning heat. The areas where geothermal energy is found of the Earth are characterized by a relatively high heat flow, result of present or recent magmatic activity. Magmatic activity is the production of magma or lava. Evidence of magmatic activity is usually found in the form of rocks that have formed from volcanoes. Geothermal energy is characterized by high heat flow because it's a form of energy conversion in which heat energy from within Earth is captured. How is it produced? Water is replaced by rainfall, and the heat is continuously produced by the Earth. The only way they can be sure there is geothermal resource is by drilling wells to measure underground temperatures. The production of geothermal energy involves drilling wells into the Earth's crust at approximately a depth of 3 to 10 kilometers. The heat is extracted with a variety of methods, but in most cases is drawn from the Earth using water and steam. Hot water from the earth may be extracted to heat homes and buildings. This is done either by directly circulating the hot water through buildings or by pumping it through a heat exchanger that transfers the heat to the building. Geothermal heat can also be used to produce electricity in a geothermal power plant. The electricity is generated when geothermal heat produces steam that spins turbines on a generator. Geothermal fields often create hot springs, geysers, and boiling mud pools. A geyser is a spring characterized by an intermittent discharge of water ejected turbulently and accompanied by steam. A hot spring is a spring produced by an emergence of geothermally heated groundwater that rises from the Earth's crust. A mud pool is a sort of acidic hot spring with limited water. It usually takes the form of a pool or of bubbling mud. Here we can see a picture of all the process. This method involves first drilling a well into the hot plug. This is a blue tube versus cooling water. And here cold water is injected at high pressure down the well to fracture the hot rocks. Then more water is pumped into the hot rock. Next, another 1 or 2 wells are drilled into the ground. Like here in this case it's only one. The heat from the rocks is absorbed by the water, so now the hot water is pumped up to the Earth's surface where it can be transformed into electricity in the power plant. So, like the cold water absorbs the heat underground and it's now hot water. Then it goes to the turbine and generator. And any extra heat can be used as a source of heating. Finally, the cold water, like now it's cold again, is pumped back into the geothermal drill and it starts all over again. Like an infinite cycle. Low temperature fields. This is due to hot rocks below active volcanoes. The temperature of the hydrothermal resource is around 50 Fahrenheit and up. It can be used directly in spas or to heat buildings, grow crops, run fish ponds, or for other uses. On the surface, low temperature activity is manifested in hot or boiling springs, while no surface manifestations are observed on top of such systems. Flow rates range from almost 0 to a maximum of 180 liters per second from a single spring. The nature of low temperature activity may be described as precipitation, mostly falling in the highlands, percolates down into the bedrock to a depth of 1 to 3 kilometers, where the water is heated by the hot rock, and then ascends towards the surface because of reduced density. High temperature field. High temperature fields are associated with active volcanism. The hydrothermal resource is around 220 Fahrenheit and up. It can be used to generate electricity. Most electricity produced in geothermal resources have temperatures from 300 to 700 Fahrenheit. High temperature areas are located within the active volcanic zones. They are mostly on high ground. The rocks are geologically very young and permeable. The groundwater table in the high temperature areas is generally really deep. The boiling point of water depends on the hydrostatic pressure. As the pressure increases with the depth, The temperature needed from the water to boil rises along a curve that is called the boiling point curve. Electricity. Using geothermal energy to produce electricity is a relatively new industry. Now, 28 plants are operating in countries like Kenya, Iceland, New Zealand, the Philippines, Costa Rica, and El Salvador. Geothermal power is responsible for providing a significant portion of the country's power supply. This is due to the countries being in or around active volcanic regions that allow the presence of abundant geothermal fields. Like conventional geothermal power plants provide the anchor for a thriving resort economy. Advantages. This is a renewable source of energy. This means we never run out of it. It is a non-polluting and environment friendly. This is really helpful nowadays since everything is really polluted and we need a lot of help. There is no wastage or generation of byproducts. Geothermal energy can be used directly. Like mentioned before, geothermal energy can directly be used to heating a house or a building. Maintenance of coast geothermal plants is less than other methods. Like, it's really helpful because it's easier to use it. Geothermal power plants do not occupy too much space, and this helps in protecting natural environments. Since it's underground, only the power plants are overground. It is not dependent on the water conditions. This means it's always available. Geothermal energy is a way of taking advantage of the heat of the underground water, the natural heat of the earth. The way of finding and measuring geothermal energy is by drilling wells into the ground. After the power plant is installed, water takes care of bringing the heat to the surface and the generators of creating the electricity. Geothermal energy has a lot of advantages. It saves money and pollution. If geothermal energy is properly used and well invested, it can grow tremendously. Geothermal energy may be the future way of generating electricity. One day, geothermal energy will be the one to bring electricity and other commodities to whole countries like all around the world. Here are my sources, and thank you so much for your time.